So as Leah says, my name is Joanne Orr. I'm the Deputy CEO and also the Vice President of Collections, Research and International Programmes here at RBCM. I say it really fast, it's not as long as it seems. First, allow me to acknowledge the importance and the respect we have for the deep history of the Songhees and Esquimalt people on whose land the museum has been built. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to welcome you to the Royal BC Museum and Archives Spring Institute, our annual showcase of staff, partner and associate research. Today is day 2, and we kicked off yesterday with a fantastic number of panels and talks, and I understand the discussions were rousing, and I'm looking forward to more of the same today. So I've only actually been here at the Royal BC Museum since November. But I've observed firsthand how passionate the research team is and their love and their determined pursuit of knowledge every day. So this year, for the first time, we are discussing, sharing and celebrating our research over 2 days rather than a single day. So I offer my deepest congratulations to everyone who has contributed to the programme. In particular, I would like to thank our research partners, represented today by Professor Jordan Stranger-Ross from the University of Victoria. And as you will learn if you stay for the afternoon session, in the work of Dr. Sui Chung, who has partnered with the University of the Fraser Valley on the Punjabi Canadian Legacy Project. The growth in our partnerships with academic institutions and with other organisations, government ministries and communities of place and belonging is a clear indication that the Royal BC Museum and Archives is exemplifying best practice across the sector. For now, I'd like to echo some of the thoughts expressed by Royal BC Museum CEO Professor Jack Lohman in his speech at yesterday's opening of Spring Institute 2019. In which he spoke about the needs of research ecosystems within museums. In 2019, the Royal BC Museum is taking more strategic risks and investing in intelligent long-term opportunities for collaboration, fieldwork, community dialogue, and the ongoing construction of meaning. We accept that there is a need to create safe and inclusive spaces for our allies in research, places where the present dimension of science and heritage can be explored through multiple perspectives. And we are taking action to co-partner with Indigenous peoples over their objects and histories, and to acknowledge, as the Indigenous scholar Benita Lawrence tells us, that it is a land that holds all knowledge of life and earth and is a constant teacher. For those engaged in natural history and human history alike, looking to the land and sea to unlock knowledge is an existential priority. Really, really important. The race to describe and archive the planet's dwindling biodiversity is becoming ever more urgent, underscoring the importance of museum-based biodiversity science, but also signifying that ethically and logically, museums with natural history mandates must take action to conserve natural habitats. It's vital that we harness technology to help us share findings with other museums, collaborating research institutions, and citizens of British Columbia and the world alike. For example, we are leveraging our discoveries by linking with international digital aggregators of knowledge like the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, GBIF, or the Integrated Digitised Biocollections. Finally, we recognise the need to preserve and to grow our valuable collections, completely unique to British Columbia as cultural, scientific and global heritage. However, in all of this, there is a question of limits, or more specifically, to the research limits we experience here at the Royal BC Museum, made manifest by the buildings within which we work and in which we're seated today. The Royal BC Museum buildings, including the Fanning Administrative and Collections Tower, the BC Archives, and the exhibition building, currently do not meet contemporary seismic standards, lack world-class digital infrastructure, and fail to provide adequate space to store our existing collections, let alone new acquisitions. They lack adequate office and lab spaces for staff, and as in the case of the Fanning Tower, they limit our ability to co-locate research teams. These are buildings that are culturally unsafe and for the very people and communities with whom we intend to collaborate in the future. Our permanent exhibitions are also 52 years old. Most museums have a permanent exhibition for maybe 10, maybe 20 years. So just to get it in perspective, change needs to happen. And this past February, the province announced a commitment to modernising the museum. In the weeks since the announcement, Professor Lohman has stated, "I'm gratified to note government is moving at a pace less like a receding glacier and more like a Orsina's orchid in the hunt of Chinook salmon." There's a vision. Indeed, the plans to modernise are now moving at surprising speed and with a significant social element. At this point, we are in a stage of community engagement as government solicits input from all regions of the province, asking citizens, stakeholders and indeed museum and archive staff how they envisage the future of the Royal BC Museum. So I think this is the last weekend I'm going to be here because we're going on the road for the regional consultations all over British Columbia. So there's a very intense first phase of consultation about to commence. So it's very exciting that we're going to be out there asking people what they want their museum to be now and in the future. So here at the Royal BC Museum, we're seeking a modernised provincial museum that proudly and authentically takes on the mantle of a world-leading hub of knowledge and learning. To truly engage with the public, we need a space that places learning and knowledge at its philosophical and physical core. Research, like the ideas we will hear about today, must continue to be accessible to the public and must continue to be communicated clearly as relevant to civic welfare. We do not know yet what shape or form the modernised Royal BC Museum will take, but it's my hope and expectation that the collections, our research and engagement with citizens will take centre stage. So without further ado, I turn the podium over to Liz Crocker from our Learning Department, who will be introducing today's morning's session and our